Top boxing news. Ow!
Okay, we'll start with this. In response to Oscar De La Hoya's claim that Isaac Cruz was made a very lucrative offer, which his people turned down for a Ryan Garcia fight, Sean Gibbons, who handles the career of Isaac Cruz, says, Oscar, while I understand your desperation in showing Ryan Garcia you are doing something on his behalf in your role as his promoter, do you think putting out a falsehood like this will impress him? Sean went on to say, Oscar, happy holidays. Manny Pacquiao Promotions is ready to make Ryan Garcia a real offer. Biggest purse of his career. The fight will be on a real platform that millions of people can see, not some app that has very few eyeballs sitting by the phone.
Because Gervonta Davis versus Isaac Cruz drew millions of eyeballs?
Is that what that drew in? Because last I checked, there seems to be a gag order on what the official numbers for that fight were.
Not even Mike Coppinger's sources gave him a number, apparently.
Leonard Ellerby added to the conversation, for some reason, it's all a front and a sham on the media, who were pushing this dumbass narrative. It all sounds good, knowing damn well it's not happening. All of a sudden, watch how quickly this does a 360 and a new targeted opponent appears.
What the hell does Leonard Ellerby care if Ryan Garcia wants to fight Isaac Cruz?
Isaac Cruz ain't no TMT fighter, and Gervonta Davis' part of the story is over.
Or is it?
Isaac seems to be a Manny Pacquiao Promotions fighter, whereas Gervonta Davis, he's with Mayweather Promotions, though the one thing they have in common, the common denominator between them, is they both fall under that PBC umbrella.
Isn't that what I told you was going on in my last video?
Do we really gotta get into a haggling situation over Isaac Cruz? Is that what this has turned into, a sides of the street situation?
This guy's claim to fame is losing to Gervonta Davis.
In a pay-per-view that bombed. Pay-per-view that underperformed. And you mean to tell me
Sean Gibbons is turning his nose up at the zone.
For what?
What?
Because Gervonta Davis fought Isaac Cruz on Showtime? Hey, Showtime might be a premium cable network,
But Showtime ain't what it used to be.
this is Hollywood charades is what it is. It's Hollywood charades because behind the scenes, behind the curtain, these boxing insiders, these boxing guys, they know full well that
DAZN caters to 200 different countries, 200 different territories around the world.
Showtime doesn't. Gervonta Davis versus Isaac Cruz was not shown in 200 different territories around the world by way of Showtime. So let's just can the streaming app shtick. That's just a piss-poor excuse not to make the fight. That's what that is. That's just a piss-poor excuse to not send Isaac Cruz over to the Golden Boy Promotions / DAZN side of things to face Ryan Garcia, because quite honestly, they ain't got the bodies spare. It's duck, folks. And I know that many of you out there might feel the way that I feel about it, that Isaac Cruz himself, Isaac Cruz, the fighter, likely has no fear of Ryan Garcia and what might happen.
No, I don't think that Isaac Cruz is afraid of Ryan.
But I also don't think that Isaac Cruz makes any decisions. I don't think it's up to Isaac what happens in his own career. I believe those decisions are made for him. And the decision that has been made on his behalf is a decision to where they're turning down a Ryan Garcia fight. To fight who?
You're turning down whatever they offered you to fight Ryan. To fight with who?
Let's be serious here, folks. If Isaac Cruz is turning down a Ryan Garcia fight, what's he turning it down for? To do what? To fight who?
I'll tell you, I believe Oscar a lot more than I believe Sean.
Listen, they're both slime balls. They're all slime balls at the end of the day because they're all boxing guys. But at the end of the day, we've seen this before, and we've seen this consistently with one group of guys, one group of fighters that stand on a certain side of the street. And it's for this reason that I actually believe, Oscar, people of their Golden Boy Promotions, they made Isaac Cruz an offer.
An offer that he rejected.
The same way that Golden Boy Promotions made Jermall Charlo an offer that he rejected.
The same way Matchroom made Andy Ruiz an offer for Dillian Whyte that he rejected.
The same way Luis Ortiz was made an offer by Matchroom for an Anthony Joshua fight that he rejected. Rather, the offer was rejected on his behalf the same way I think this offer from Golden Boy was rejected on Isaac Cruz's behalf. That's what I think, and that's what makes it a duck. You're rejecting whatever they offered you to fight Ryan, to fight with who and for what dollar amount. Certainly not more than what you're being offered, and certainly not in as high profile a situation.
Special attention has got to go into Isaac's next fight.
Because whoever he is fighting, I would hope that it's someone more high profile than Ryan Garcia.
Since Sean Gibbons thinks Isaac's too good to fight on DAZN.
Even though Canelo Alvarez has fought on DAZN several times.
But apparently Isaac Cruz is too good to fight there.
Too good to fight on an app based on losing the Gervonta Davis fight in a pay-per-view that bombed at the box office. Are you serious?
These dinosaurs are always carrying on about how DAZN is a streaming app.
But so's Hulu. So's Netflix. I mean, what's your point?
But a streaming app can't draw millions of views.
Then why does Showtime have a streaming app? Why does ESPN? ESPN, the biggest sports network in the country. Netflix, Hulu, smart TVs. I mean,
What do you need, a PowerPoint presentation?
these dinosaurs might, along with a fax machine, since they didn't seem to have gotten the memo that streaming apps are all the rage in this postmodern era of boxing.
And pay-per-view ain't what it used to be.
And underneath it all, they know that. In heavyweight news per tweet from Michael Benson, Frank Warren has stated that Tyson Fury's next fight will take place on March 26th. He added that there are currently no talks with Dillian Whyte's team about a deal. Purse bids are scheduled for Tuesday, January 11th. Eddie Hearn has declared that they will appeal the WBC's ruling of an 80-20 purse bid split for Tyson Fury versus Dillian Whyte via the WBC and via arbitration. And it's what I always told you. That 80-20 might have been set by the WBC, but it is subject to what happens in the arbitration.
Though whatever happens in the arbitration won't result in a fight.
Just how I feel. Since this fight was first tabbed all those months ago, I've never been convinced they'd be able to get it over the line. I viewed this fight as a fight that's riddled with problems, many problems, and ultimately, it won't come off, it won't happen, regardless.
Let's say things go Dillian Whyte's way in arbitration.
Not that he's had much luck over the years with the WBC, but let's just say for argument's sake, things go his way in the arbitration, and he gets the kind of split that he's looking for. Do you think that's all it's going to take to do the fight?
You think it's all that simple?
Let's say things go Dillian Whyte's way in the arbitration, and let's say the purse bid gets ordered and it takes place and Matchroom wins the bid. You honestly think Tyson Fury?
I can't see Tyson Fury fighting on DAZN.
I just can't. I can't envision Tyson Fury fighting under the Matchroom banner, even for a one-off, even in a one-off situation on the DAZN platform against Dillian Whyte. I just don't see that happening. I'd sooner believe that Tyson Fury would throw that green belt in the air and all the responsibilities that come with it.
This headache is brought to you by way of the WBC.
It's the funniest thing. Dillian Whyte's critics, they obviously don't think that much of them. Many of them, they'd pick Deontay Wilder to knock Dillian Whyte out. And yet, had Deontay Wilder taken care of this guy and knocked him out the way they think he would have knocked him out, had he done this a long time ago, we wouldn't be dealing with this here and now.
You don't need to fight Luis Ortiz 2 times.
What is it? That Deontay Wilder has fought Bermane Stiverne 2 times, Luis Ortiz 2 times, Tyson Fury 3 times, but he didn't fight Dillian Whyte once. Not once!
Tyson Fury, he fought Chisora 2 times.
Boxed Wilder 3, yet we gotta go through this dog and pony show just to see that same Tyson Fury take care of Dillian Whyte. It's always the same thing.
Anthony Joshua's busy with Alexander Usyk.
So, why not just take care of this guy? If he's as big a pushover as Tyson Fury's fans and Deontay Wilder's fans, many of them, if he's as big a pushover as he's made out to be, then this isn't a fight that should come with this many issues attached.
I think Tyson Fury might end up vacating the green belt.
It's not an absolute certitude, but I do think it's a genuine possibility. And if that possibility is realized, if it comes into fruition and Dillian Whyte ends up with that green belt, you know what?
What?
There's no guarantees that the winner of Joshua versus Usyk.
If Fury ain't got that green belt, who says he gets that fight?
I'm just giving it to you straight. It's the only way I know how to give it to you. If Tyson Fury, by some chance, relinquishes the one alphabet title he's in possession of, who says the winner of Joshua versus Usyk moves to fight him next? They might move to fight Dillian Whyte. If Dillian Whyte is in possession of the WBC title, they'll get to Fury afterwards.
Fury's talking about doing a WWE fight.
WWE engagement against Brock Lesnar, I think. At the same time, he's talking about a boxing versus MMA crossover fight with Francis Ngannou, who's...
Yeah, Francis, he wants to cross over into boxing.
It all looks a certain way when Tyson Fury is experiencing all these issues for a genuine bona fide boxing match against his domestic and professional rival,
Dillian Whyte.
It all looks a certain way when you're experiencing this many issues to get this fight over the line whilst at the same time entertaining engagements by way of the WWE, entertaining a boxing versus MMA crossover fight with Francis Ngannou. It all looks a certain way, doesn't it?
You really think Bob and Frank are trying to get the Dillian Whyte fight over the line?
You really think those two guys are committed to doing this fight? For all I know, Tyson Fury's next endeavor, his next engagement, might not even be a boxing match. He might have a wrestling match with Brock Lesnar while he waits for the winner.
Well, he waits for the winner of Joshua versus Usyk 2 to emerge.
I firmly believe that
Preserving himself.
Tyson Fury is attempting to preserve himself for the winner of that fight. It's not that he fears losing the Dillian Whyte so much as a Dillian Whyte fight could be a rough and tumble kind of situation. A physical fight, the same way that the first Derek Chisora fight was a physical fight. Yeah, he can beat the guy, maybe he beats the guy, but that don't mean he don't get banged up in the process of beating that guy. Thing's clear to me. This fight ain't gonna happen. This fight between Tyson Fury and Dillian Whyte, regardless of the arbitration and the WBC title, the green belt, all of it.
This fucking fight isn't gonna happen.
It's not. The most that I think Dillian Whyte can hope to achieve from this entire endeavor, this entire fiasco, is to see Tyson Fury throw that green belt in the air because he won't fight him willingly.
I don't know if it is Sky 80-20 or 75-25 if you're serious about doing a fight.
That is not an offer that is made in good faith for a fight of this magnitude, a fight of this scale, a fight of this size in the United Kingdom. And the Americans might be ignorant to this, but not the Brits. And finally, in lightweight news, per a tweet from Mr. Moonshine himself, Punch Drunk Boxing, Teofimo Lopez Sr. is letting the world know there is no setback. 140 pounds going after Jose Zepada. The takeover is still in effect. Teofimo Lopez himself, by way of his own social media, vows to become undisputed again, but at junior welterweight. And I can't knock his ambition.
He's got to believe in himself when nobody else does.
That's the way it works, almost bordering on delusional.
He's got to believe in himself when nobody else does.
He's got to hold up his end of the bargain as a competitor, as a fighter. And I understand that, but I also understand that becoming an undisputed champion at 140 pounds is a very different road to the road that young Teofimo once traversed at 135 pounds. It is a different ballgame.
Jose Zepada ain't no fucking pushover.
Was it a knockdown, drag-out brawl with Ivan Baranchyk when he stopped him, and he took care of unbeaten Josue Vargas in a timely fashion, I might add. A very vocal Josue Vargas who got more than he bargained for, bit off more than he could chew with chum. The very mild-mannered Jose Zepada who, underneath it all,
He's a stone-cold killer is what he is.
I like that fight, but I'd be lying to you if I said that Jose Zepada doesn't stand a good chance of upsetting the apple cart for Teofimo Lopez if he's not focused, if he's not careful. That bravado, that air of confidence that led him to beating Vasyl Lomachenko at lightweight, that won't be enough at super lightweight.
Josue Vargas had that same air of confidence.
That same bravado, one and the same between Josue Vargas and Teofimo Lopez. And I'm telling you, the 140-pound division is a very different place than...
Very different from what you find at 135 pounds.
It's no offense to characterize the situation in its entirety. Teofimo Lopez's biggest recorded victory was the victory over Vasyl Lomachenko, and I'm not disparaging or discrediting his victory over him, simply characterizing that in that fight, Teofimo Lopez was, in fact, the younger and naturally bigger guy. At 140 pounds, he won't have that edge working for him.
This guy's just as big, if not bigger, than Teofimo at 140.
Jose Zepada among them. And if by some chance Teofimo pulls it off and wins that fight, beats Chung, beats Jose Zepada, there's still Regis Prograrius, there's still Jose Ramirez, there's still Josh Taylor.
I've been telling you guys the whole time, I don't like Teofimo's chances in that fight.
I didn't like his chances in that fight before George Kambosos beat him, and I especially don't like his chances after George Kambosos beat him. I remember there were those out there who thought that Teofimo had what it took to beat the likes of Josh Taylor.
I didn't forget you guys.
Ahead of that George Kambosos Jr. lightweight title tilt, there were those out there who were of the opinion that Teofimo Lopez could actually beat Josh Taylor at 140 pounds. And I don't know what the hell that assessment was based on, but I think those guys might have had a change of heart having seen how Teofimo performed against George Kambosos.
I don't know, maybe you guys get too wrapped up in the promotion.
Maybe some of these guys are too patriotic the way they can't see the forest for the trees. Teofimo Lopez might have been a more talked about fighter in American circles of boxing than, say, Josh Taylor, but make no mistake, Josh Taylor.
He is a clear and apparent threat to Teofimo Lopez's 140-pound campaign.
Not that I think we're on the eve of that fight, because we're not. I don't actually know that Josh Taylor and Teofimo Lopez will ever lock horns, because it's conceivable that after this upcoming Jack Catterall fight, next month I believe it is, it's conceivable that Josh Taylor could move up to welterweight, potentially take on Terrence Crawford for his WBO title. Josh Taylor might vacate all the alphabet titles he's currently in possession of at 140 pounds. And if he does, yeah, you could give Teofimo decent odds to pick one up.
Hey, it all depends on who he has to go through to get it.
You're talking about Jose Zepada. You're talking about the winner of Jose Pedraza versus Jose Ramirez. You're talking about Regis Prograrius and what other hungry young contenders are out there, like Arnold Barboza, who's been paying special attention to Teofimo Lopez the last couple of weeks, the last couple of months. He's been very vocal about it. He wants that
These
fight.
guys at 140 may not be as easy to disarm as Vasyl Lomachenko was.
I'm just giving it to you straight. It's the only way I know how to give it to you. Perhaps Teofimo Lopez grew accustomed to being the biggest puncher in the room at lightweight, but it's super lightweight at 140 pounds.
That ain't dynamic.
He's on the rebound, he's on the mend, and he's got his work cut out for him. He's going to have to earn his keep, earn his money at 140 pounds.
And he's in no position to make demands.
Still under contract with Top Rank, a contract that I assume has been amended by now. Teofimo having lost all those alphabet titles, suffering that loss, that unexpected loss to George Kambosos Jr. He's not in a position to make demands the way he once was.
Better just get back to his boxing.
And I'm not unsympathetic. I like the kid. I like what he could be, but I also understand that the 140-pound division really is a very different place to the lightweight division. And he'd be fulfilling a very different role than the role he was fulfilling at 135 pounds. A lot of guys
They're going to want a piece of him.
got sat on his back pocket by George Kambosos Jr. in that shock upset loss. So those guys up there at 140 are licking their chops.
You better get ready.
Spiritually, psychologically, and physically, because he will be tested.